Hello everyone, welcome to Tom and Arnold Talk Movies. I am Tom, this is Arnold.
Hi.
Today we're talking about Jurassic Park. This was directed by Steven Spielberg, written by David Koepp and Micheal Crichton, based on the book of the same name, also by Micheal Crichton. The plot revolves around two paleontologists who are whisked away to a mysterious remote theme park. After catastrophe strikes, they must use their expertise to survive the park's attractions. Arnold, what did you think of Jurassic Park?
You can't beat it. It's a classic. No, seriously, I very much like the film. Even from a technical standpoint, it's still very impressive. I mean, I think there's things that have aged since, but not too much. You've got another fantastic John Williams score. Brilliant action sequences, wonderfully directed by Spielberg. You've got a great cast in terms of looking the parts in terms of from the book as well. Yeah, I mean you can't really go wrong. There are things I do prefer because me and Tom, we've read the book, you see, and there's things that we will talk about later on in terms of the book and the film that I kind of want to talk about in terms of what I prefer. But overall, I absolutely loved it. What did you think?
I love this film. I've loved it since I was a kid, and I still love it now.
It's just magical, isn't it?
It is. It's almost perfect. I love the story. I love the action and the cast and the pacing, the special effects, and just everything. And it's a really good family film because the thing is with this, it doesn't pander to any age group really.
No,
it really doesn't, because you can have with all the dinosaurs and the special effects, you can have that sort of when you're a kid, you're like, oh, fucking dinosaurs are cool, man. And then when you get older, you can watch it as oh yeah, this is just a great film. Special effects are a bonus, dinosaurs are a bonus, dinosaurs are great. It's it's just a film for everyone. And even when you watch it when you're older, there is actually some kind of horror to bits of the film.
Definitely.
It's really good. And I think as well with people who enjoy films, it's you can get the arty-farty person who loves Fritz Lang or something like that, or you can get someone who enjoys films a bit more casually. And I think both of them people, unless they are a proper snob, I reckon both of them people would get it. Would get something out of it.
Oh yeah, I think what makes the film so enjoyable because it seems like a labour of love, and you can really tell going into this film. I think everyone on the set looks like they're having a good time. Everyone's really into it, so I think the energy is very much present in terms of the enthusiasm.
Yeah, I swear to God, not just about Jurassic Park, but from the 70s to early 90s, Spielberg really was the master of these action films. I mean, Jaws, E.T., Close Encounters, Indiana Jones. It's just it's just
bangers after bangers, man.
It's just the fact as well, and it's the only other director I can think of who has a similar I can't think of the word, but it's when someone describes something as Lynchian, it's people say Spielbergian, and it's that's how good he is, man. It's I think nowadays Spielberg's kind of not disappeared, but he's not sort of out
His
there as much.
presence is still somewhat there.
Yeah. I mean, he did the Fablemans recently.
Apparently, it's meant to be really good.
Yeah. So it's he's still there, but that run of from the 70s to the early 90s, just great, man. He really is the master.
20th century, the sort of golden age of that particular time. So
it's
well.
He did that thing of perfectly like you've just said, perfectly mixing sort of modern for the time filmmaking, but also adding that film from the classic era, if you know what I mean. I mean, just to add something really random today, but I watched Raiders of the Lost Ark recently, and there's a bit early on in that film, just that beginning of the film is proper classic Hollywood, but just that bit where Belloc grabs the idol and he's walking and he's just laughing, proper laughing, and it's just that is such a classic Hollywood type thing. Honestly, Spielberg's the master.
With Spielberg what you're gonna get, and I think there's a sense of it's not okay, what's this? There's always something. There's always a reassurance in terms of what you get with the Spielberg film, and I think in terms of the elements put together, it's always just it's always an adventure. There's always moments, and it's never disappointing every time. Even, I think, like you said, as you get older, there's still new things that you hadn't appreciated when you were a kid, and then you look at it now and you think, oh, okay, that's quite cool that he did that.
Yeah. Well, just while we're on the subject of Spielberg, let's talk about peak Spielberg, which is the opening of this film, because it's just great, man. And like a little thing about the book, it's like I think now, because I've read the book and now I've just watched the film again after the book, and it's like it feels like this opening scene is almost like what takes place just before the book starts, because the book starts and like there's like this hospital and someone gets flown in.
Yeah.
Turns out they've been bitten by a raptor, and it's like this is what could have happened.
And then you've also got in the book as well that whole like family on holiday, and you see the
the
daughter gets bitten by this weird, mysterious looking lizard.
Yeah, that which they eventually did in The Lost World. The
yeah, and I think the book version. We'll briefly talk about it quickly. Yeah. I think the book version is better because there's more of an eerie tone with the build-up, especially with the stories of like creatures killing babies in cuts and stuff like that. Yeah.
But like this beginning, it's just there's so many just perfect little bits that he's added, like little touches. Like it begins and like we see the trees shaking, and we're like, oh, what's that? Is that a dinosaur? Nah, it's just it's a forklift or whatever.
Yeah.
So then we're already thinking that, and then we get into like when they move the cage into like the interior or whatever, and it's just like all we see is like the eye. And we get the geezer gets pulled. It's like peak Spielberg, like he did with Jaws. It's like don't show the monster, don't show the shark.
Just show like bits here and there, like a sort of tease.
And going back to sort of the book, it's like I think the book does like they always say the book's always better than the film, but I think the book does a really good job at making these dinosaurs like terrifying, man.
Yeah.
Like, and there's a thing in the book I always love, because he always mentions Micheal Crichton. He always mentions like how the dinosaurs have this like rotten meat breath or something.
Yeah.
Like their breath is like constantly like smells like death,
rotting flesh.
Yeah. And it's just like. Now, when you add that into the film, it's like, oh god, that would be fucking terrifying, man. Yeah. It's just brilliant. I love that opening scene. I just love it so much, man. Let's talk about the cast then, because I think Sam Neill and Laura Dern are perfect as their book counterparts.
I think Ellie's a lot younger in the book, but it doesn't really matter.
No.
I think I think you sort of struck lightning in a bottle with that cast. I think Richard Attenborough as John Hammond. Great, I think. I mean, it's kind of hard to dislike because Richard Attenborough is such a very wholesome man, and I mean, he was a very much of an iconic actor from like the British films from like the 50s and 60s. So but and it's funny really because it's like. Even though John Hammond is a very irredeemable character, especially more so in the book, there's something quite charming and, is a very sort of Father Christmas sort of figure. And especially his reaction when we get to see the park and the way he looks at the dinosaurs, even though he was the one who created the park, he's still looking at it in such awe and, it's like, it's such a lovely performance from Richard Attenborough.
Dr. Grant, my dear Dr. Sattler. Welcome to Jurassic Park.
Yeah, Richard Attenborough. He's like, because in the book, John Hammond is like a sleazy, arrogant, old corporate dinosaur.
Yeah.
Pun very much intended. Whereas in the book, he's more like the lovable, eccentric granddad who's got this brilliant idea, but like he can't see that, it might fall apart, which shit does.
I gotta say, we'll talk about it later on, but there's something about the book version I kind of prefer to the film version. But like I said, we'll get into it. What did you think of what's his name, Jeff
Goldblum
and Malcolm?
Mm-hmm. Well, before we get into Jeffrey Goldblumington, let me just say some stuff about Alan Grant and Sam Neill.
Okay.
Because I think he's so great about, being like that average sort of Joe guy who, like, when he's like thrust into that action, he's on it. It's somewhat similar to John McClane from Die Hard, I think, where like he's you know, he steps up to the mark. You know what I mean? And I like as well how like
he's a hero's hero.
Yeah, exactly. And I like as well how I can't remember specifically in the book.
He fits that classic old Hollywood style hero.
Yeah,
so well. It's like very Steven Spielberg.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Indiana Jones.
Yeah, I was. Did you bet? I was going to say like he's very close. Seems in this film he's very close to sort of a Harrison Ford
even
type.
the hat and
exactly.
there's parallels.
Yeah. But yeah, I can't remember it being in the book, but like in the film he's more sort of like. He's not very happy with kids. He doesn't like kids.
Yeah, there's a bit of a weird sort of character development with him in the film, because it's like in the book there's no mention of him being sort of disliking kids, but then in the film he sort of becomes attached to them as he looks after them, and rescues them, which is kind of nice, which I quite like.
Yeah. Well, it's adding something else to his character in the film, because then you can give him a character arc in the film. You know what I mean? So I can see why they did that. And also, like, Laura Dern, who I don't think is in the film as much as she should be. I mean, she does some, like, important stuff, but it's like, she feels like she should be there more, but she isn't.
It's weird, because in the book, she's not as... She isn't given much more of a role in terms of, like, sorting out, I don't know, turning on the power on. But I think it's, like, regulated to other characters. So it's funny you say that in, like, the film where she's not in it much as well. It's like, I don't know, it's a weird sort of mix.
Yeah, it's like, when they get to that, I think it's the Stegosaurus.
Yeah.
It's like...
She sort of goes off, and then it's just Grant and Malcolm.
Yeah, and then she doesn't, like, turn up for a bit, and then I just feel like she should have been in it more. And, like, she should have done more.
I felt like she was in it way more than the book, if I'm honest. I think because there was more characters cut from the book in the film version, so she was given a lot more to do, but interesting.
Yeah. I don't know, I just feel like she disappears. But yeah, Jeffrey Goldblumington with
Goldblumers
with Ian Malcolm.
Yeah.
Like, I watched the film many years ago before I'd even picked up the book, man. And it's like, but even with that, because sometimes when you read a book after a film, you sort of get an idea. It's like Harry Potter. When I first read Harry Potter, like Daniel Radcliffe's just what I have in my head, if you know what I mean. But it's funny with this, because the book Ian Malcolm, I don't see as Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah.
I see. It's funny because I actually see like a Harrison Ford type as Ian Malcolm.
Interesting.
If you know someone
I
like
was
that.
thinking more along the lines, because I said this to you. I can't remember the actor who plays Data.
Oh, Brett Spiner. That would be pretty good. Yeah,
I feel like Brett Spiner could sort of carry that speech about chaos theory. I think that's very much Brett Spiner's sort of vocabulary, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Sir.
I feel like Jeff's sort of version of Malcolm is a bit more flirtatious.
Yeah.
Kind of sleazy.
Yeah, well, I think they do say in the book that he is a bit of like a rock star.
Yeah,
but like,
I love that line.
He seems more like... He seems in the book that
he seems more cooler.
Yeah.
In the film, you know what I mean?
Yeah, he seems like he's got a bit more like...
Like, he's wearing black, that's very much in the book, but it's like... Again, I think that's because the whole rock star thing, like the way he sort of has that sort of Jim Morrison sort of,
Yeah.
But
he doesn't
it's not
feel...
a bad thing. But...
No, but he doesn't feel as intelligent as he does in the book.
I'm not convinced that he's a mathematician. Do you know what I
mean? Yeah,
mean?
exactly, like one of the best. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, but
it's like the quick sort of like humor he sort of injects in random scenes. It's like it almost feels like he's sort of there as like comedic relief at times, more so than the mathematician giving out the sort of wisdom. But what were you gonna say?
I can't remember. He's just I like Jeff Goldblum.
Oh,
Jeff Goldblum's always great. Yeah, I mean he's great. He's just like he's in like Invasion of the Body Snatchers and The Fly and all that stuff. He's doing some great stuff, man. Very good. Thank you, Jeff Goldblum, for your service. Some other people who aren't like the big main cast, but they're just great. Wayne Knight, who plays Dennis Nedry. He's great. He's always good in everything. Samuel L. Jackson's in it in a very small role.
Forget he's in it. It's so it's like I remember when I watched the film again, and I was like, I recognise that voice. What the hell? And it was like Samuel L. Jackson as John Arnold.
Hold on to your butts.
Yeah, it's weird because it actually does suit the part. Like I actually do believe him.
Muldoon. I don't know the actor's name, but Muldoon, the sort of hunter. He's great as well.
Yeah.
Oh, and also just to say while we're here, because I remember the film has just got so many fucking great quotes. like spared no expense.
Spared no expense.
Yeah.
Welcome to Jurassic Park.
Welcome to Jurassic Park.
That's one big pile of shit.
That is one big pile of shit.
Fuck yeah, I'll do a clip montage.
We're out of a job. Don't you mean extinct?
Dodson! We've got Dodson here! See, nobody cares.
Life, finds a way.
God damn it! Hate this hacker crap!
What's the matter, kid? You never had lamb chops?
When you gotta go, you gotta go.
You did. You crazy son of a bitch, you did.
It's a unique system. I know this.
What do they got in there, King Kong?
Clever girl. Alan!
General message is the idea of that this film basically revolves around the idea of, you know, underestimating chaos, particularly nature, and you know, it's the idea of mankind trying to play God without potentially thinking what the possible ramifications, all for the sake of discovery and domination. And it's like that. It's a great scene from, you know, Ian Malcolm, where he was talking about how, like, you know, just because you have the technology and the money to genetically recreate dinosaurs, you know, doesn't mean you're able to contain them without truly understanding and predicting their behavior.
She had them all attacking the fences when the feeders came.
The fences are electrified, though, right?
That's right, but they never attacked the same place twice. They were testing the fences for weaknesses systematically. They remember.
And it's funny because it's like the whole film is essentially about, you know, the idea of greed, arrogance being the ultimate downfall, especially with John Hammond because he wants to create a legacy, Dennis Nedry because he wants money, you know, Gennaro, he's sort of blinded by the potential idea of profits for this park. And it's like, it's the idea of, like, you know, to simply try and control nature is to have nature exert its irrevocable consequences that impact everyone. And because of everyone having their own selfish motives, everyone is suffering for the sake, you know, just because of that, basically.
Started well, that sentence.
The book sort of expands on it a bit more, but you get pretty much the message anyway in the film, in such a sort of beautiful, you know, cohesive way, you know.
Yeah, I feel like it's only really covered in the film, like prominently in that sort of one scene where they're having dinner.
Yeah,
and
that's
they're
exactly it.
They're all chatting, which is another great quote from.
Because it's like there's that, but it's like it doesn't really matter so much because it's just an adventure. This film is, but the book, it's like, you know, there's at least a couple of chapters sort of talking about the whole idea of chaos theory and, you know, and
extinction and all that stuff.
Yeah, and it's like just because, you know, you could doesn't mean you should. You know, that whole line is like, it's perfect.
I think that with the book is like Micheal Crichton's sort of sci-fi stuff coming out, because, you know, like all sci-fi has that sort of, like, you know, there's the story, but then there's the message, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And that's what the message is with, like, the book. It's like, it's kind of like, you know, should they be doing what they're doing? Should we be bringing back any animal? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then, you know, if we made it go extinct, should we bring it back? Who knows, man? Who knows? Too many massive questions.
But it's just so. I mean, we could talk about the book as well, because it's like it's a wonderful book, and it's just like the way it's interwoven in terms of like the sort of, it's not trying to give you a lecture. It's just it's giving you an excuse to think, which I really like. But it's just such a beautiful balance of storytelling and, you know, message. We have to talk about the CGI and practical effects.
Yeah.
Was there anything you wanted to say before
about CGI and practical effects? I think the thing is with this film, it's like, this film's 30 years old. Oh, that's the reason why we're talking about it, by the way, because it's 30 years old this year. And it's just like, you can't believe. I mean, when they first see that dinosaur, it looks a bit sort of blocky.
It's very.
But like the T-Rex scene is just brilliant. Like, and some of it obviously is like an animatronic.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's just the thing that I love about this film, and it annoys me about newer films. It's like, and I don't want to make this like, oh, CGI is really bad, because like CGI can be used good, like in good ways, but it's like, it annoys me because like it seemed like the way CGI was used, like Terminator 2 and stuff around that. It's like you had the practical stuff, and you mix that in with CGI. Now everything is just CGI.
Yeah.
Everything. It's like Terminator 2. Well, Jurassic Park even. To keep it on Jurassic Park. It's like there's a moment in that film where like it's the T-Rex scene, and when they're in the car with Ian and Alan Grant. It's like the dinosaur head, the animatronic, it moves out of frame, and then the CGI one goes like that, and it's like that's fucking great, man.
I think it's a good balance because, and the thing about it, you know, there's not much CGI if you really think about it, and it's mostly puppeteering work, and that's it, right? And animatronic, of course. Yeah, it's like I think the puppeteering is probably the best thing in terms of compared to the CGI. The CGI you kind of take for granted these days, like you said perfectly. I think the actual choreography, I think the way they mimic the dinosaur, especially when they move their head like mimicking birds, it's very well done. Especially the way you see the way you sort of look at a bird and they're sort of moving their head like that, you know, sort of like they're sort of nervous, you know.
Raptors,
it's like the way they sort of emulate that is so beautiful. There's, like you said, there's a mixture of, you know, practical and CGI. But the thing is, though, it's like it's a good balance because when you see the CGI and then the next bit is a practical effect, it doesn't seem too jarring.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it's like you even though you can tell what's CGI, it's enough to sort of suspend your disbelief.
Yeah.
So it's that right level of balance, which I thought was very well done.
It's like as well, comparing like modern films to now. It's just like there's a bit where Muldoon is being hunted by the raptors, and we see like two raptors' feet in the
I love
floor.
that shot. Yeah,
all that is just some geezer wearing boots.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah, with metal rods inside.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That is it, man. And it's like it just annoys you because if it was today, you just know it would be like CGI.
Yeah,
all of it, even the grass, even the trees, everything. And it's just annoying because it's like they want to get these films out so quickly and so cost effectively that they just like, oh fuck it, just do it like that. Don't even make like a rubber little model or something. And I mean Jurassic World Dominion, I'm sure there is probably maybe animatronic dinosaurs in there somewhere. But it's just like,
but it's used too sparingly.
Yeah. It's just like, it's just annoying. But I don't want to turn this into like modern films are bad. It's just annoying though because this film came out 30 fucking years ago, and Terminator 2 came out 32. Terminator 2, yes, came out 32 years ago. And it's just like you just look at that. And that's something another thing I rewatched recently, and it's just like you look at the T1000, and it's like the way they did that in some shots was like they just had a guy dressed in like a big silver outfit, and then they CGI'd over it to make it a bit more smoother. It's just like, why can't you do that these days, man? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think my favourite sort of scale model of a dinosaur was the scene where Dennis Nedry is trying to pull the car, and it's a full-scale model of, I think it's a Dilophosaurus.
Dilophosaurus.
Yeah, and the way it sort of releases poison, and it's all practical, that I thought was very well done.
Oh, it's brilliant, man.
Yeah.
It's just great, man. This is what I mean, though. With like, you can watch that because that is like a horror scene, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like that bit where you see the head sort of peering behind the tree, very sort of like, oh god, and then when you see the actual full established shot, it's like, oh my god.
It makes me laugh sometimes because it's just like there's stuff in films like we're talking about, like the dinosaur heads and all that stuff, but then there's like little things in films, and I'm like, how did they do it, but like how did they make that so like it was safe? I know that sounds really cringy, but it's I get you. There's a bit with that scene with Dennis Nedry where he gets spit in the eyes, and if you watch that scene, the actor's eyes are open, and it's like, what did they throw at him? You know what I mean? What did they throw at him so he could like peel it off and it wouldn't like make him go blind? It's just like stuff like that I just love about films sometimes. It's just like them little things where you just like, you don't even think about it because it's so quick and it's so simple, but you're like, well, actually, what did they actually throw at him? You know what I mean? Maybe it was poo.
Probably. But another, I think one of my favourite shots of general like dinosaurs is in the kitchen scene where you see the velociraptors walking around. Like you said, you see the shot of their feet, and then you see like the CGI bits when they start running. It's like, again, it's so seamless. I mean, you can tell again, but it's just beautiful the way it's shot. And I think the lighting as a sort of as it really does help as well when you think about the way it's sort of lit and shot. Yeah, I think the only sort of shot that sort of springs to mind that looks very badly aged, apart from what you mentioned earlier about the reveal of the dinosaurs, is the I think they're called the Gallimimus, when they're being chased by the T-Rex.
Oh, yeah.
That's very.
It is a bit.
It's a bit. Yeah.
You can tell it's sort of like placed in there.
Yeah, it's like seeing one of those sort of CGI creatures from like Tatooine in the special editions. It's like, you know, I mean it was 93, fair enough, you know, but that's me being a picky fucker. Yeah. But no, honestly, I think the film still holds up fantastically. I'd want to kind of talk about the sort of differences in the book and the film.
All right.
There's not much, but there's bits. For instance, John Hammond, we mentioned earlier. You know, we said about John Hammond being a bit more like, you know, he sort of sees the error of his ways, and you know, he's actually quite concerned about his grandkids. And he, like, there's a bit where he goes into the helicopter, and you know, there's a moment where he's sort of self-reflecting. He actually does generally feel bad. Whereas the book version, it's like there's this sort of stubbornness that, you know, he sort of doesn't want to admit that this whole project's a massive failure, and like the fact that like there's a bit where he's more concerned about Malcolm dying than the grandkids being rescued, because of the idea of his whole park being shut down. It's like, I feel like that sort of represents John Hammond more of a real person than the one we saw in the film. That whole bit in the book as well, where he sort of like blames Henry, Ed, John, for their sort of, you know, incompetence, rather than sort of John accepting his responsibility. It's like, I absolutely love that. And I think, book spoilers, but I think the way he dies, I think is so well fitting, because when you think about the ripple effect in terms of the way it affects everyone, because of everyone's sort of personal selfish desires and that, you think, why did John Hammond bring the grandkids? It was for the sake of, you know, bringing the kids just to show the park was safe, to convince Gennaro. And it's like, you know, that was a selfish reason in itself when you think about it. And then that ending where I think he goes out for a walk or something because he's just had enough, and he hears like a T-Rex roar, and it's like, what the hell? And he starts running, he starts panicking, and then he falls over, and he's hurt his leg, and like, you know, you know, he doesn't know where he is now, and it turns out it's the kids messing around with the intercom. And I love that line where it goes, "Those damn kids," and it's like, if he hadn't have brought those kids, like, he wouldn't have been in that mess in the first place. And it's that sort of ripple effect for the sake of his own selfish reasons, as for the fact that he decided to build a park without actually considering, again, the ramifications of like not actually truly understanding dinosaurs. The way his death is sort of like written is fucking poetry. But
great,
yeah, I also like in the book where the T-Rex is a bit more of a prominent sort of I'd say character, because there's a bit more of a chase going on with the T-Rex and Grant. I don't know if you remember, but and the kids and that. I mean, I love that bit where the way the dinosaur dies after a delayed shot from Muldoon. That was pretty cool. I noticed as well, there's another bit in the book where I was kind of disappointed they didn't show in the film, but I get it for the sake of pacing. You know, the fact that there's a bit, I love the bit where Grant tries to count all the eggs in order to find out how many velociraptors there are.
In the book, he the way he takes out the raptors is fucking badass.
I know, trust me.
Like in the book, like he tries to poison them or something. And he stabs them with like a needle or something like that. I haven't read it.
Because he gets backed into a corner, and then
and he throws the eggs to sort of.
It's honestly such a fun book.
It's great. Yeah. It's great, man. It is really good.
But yeah, I mean, there's like characters in the book that's like cut, like Ed Regis, for example. He's not in the film at all, and I think that sort of role has been given to like Ellie in terms of like. No, actually, Ed Regis. I think Ed Regis, the way he dies, is the same way Gennaro dies in the film. Because I think Gennaro dies in the toilet. Yeah.
Yeah, they sort of like combine like some characters.
Yeah, but it works.
Like
but it works.
Yeah. It's good, man. I do like the book. It's like the book is probably better, but it's like with this type of thing, it's like there's the book version, there's the film version.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like you can get
plenty from both sort of worlds. Yeah, no. I honestly, it doesn't really matter if you've only just watched the film, because I feel even the film is enough. You know?
Yeah. I think the only thing which the book probably does better, but it's all to do with because a film needs to be about 2 hours. Or something.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's like with the book, you get more sort of like moral stuff and more
discussions,
more explanations about the how the dinosaurs were made, which is great in this because they literally condensed all that information into about 2 seconds with Mr. DNA. DNA.
I love that presentation where you see Richard Attenborough trying to talk to himself.
Well, this is something I wanted to bring up. Have you got much to say, by the way?
No.
Well, we might leave it here then, but this is my little thing which I've always known. Well, just that scene is just weird. Like, where they first meet that, where they first watch that sort of presentation.
Hello, John.
Yeah.
And it's like, maybe they secretly filmed it just for these lot. But, right, so in the screen, John Hammond's like, hello, John, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, I need some blood, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, so does that mean that John Hammond would have to be at every version of this ride? Like, he just finishes one and he has to go back because he's part of the presentation. You know what I mean? So like, if he would have said like, oh, hello, Jurassic Park staff member,
I feel like
I need a little bit of your blood.
It seems like that's sort of the sort of thing you'd do for like more like exclusive events.
Yeah, but it's just mad to think that why would someone they had to go to like the back of Jurassic Park or something, and like they had to film this little like presentation, and they had to like they should have just changed it, man. It's like they didn't think it through. I bet like when like John Hammond gets like 80 and hopefully if the park went well, he'd just be there like can't do it. Also, that scene is so random because there's a bit where like Gennaro's talking to John Hammond, and he's like, "Are all these things autoerotica?" And it's just like, where the fuck did that come from? Brilliant, man, brilliant.
It's just a fun little adventure. There's nothing more to say really.
It's just brilliant, man. If you've got to this point in your life and you're at least 30 odd, or I don't know, 15 or something, and you ain't watched Jurassic Park, stop what you're doing, turn this off, and either rent it or get it on Blu-ray or something, or watch it on video like a nutter.
It's funny, really, because it's like, I didn't watch the film. I mean, I watched it when I was like 8, and I was like, oh, it's pretty good, man. It's pretty good. And I sort of forgot about it. And it's like when I watched the film again, it was like having a hug. Like a sort of, it was like, remember the good old times? It was very nostalgic, yeah.
The good old times when everything was good.
Yeah.
You know what's dumb?
Go on.
You know what's dumb, man?
Go on.
In this film that Dennis Nedry loses the can. Literally in Jurassic World Dominion, they've got that can, and it's like it's the same can, and it's like, how the fuck did they even find it? How did they find it? Oh, and Dodson, yeah. The Dodson, who's the guy who Dennis Nedry gets the can off. He's the main villain of Jurassic World Dominion. But the actor in Jurassic Park, don't talk about him, he's a bad bloke. So
right, that's interesting.
But it's so random that they brought him, that one little character, they brought back to be the main villain.
What the fuck?
Well, in like this is like just a little chat. In the film, in the book even, there's Biosyn, which is like the rival of InGen.
Yeah.
Basically, in Jurassic World Dominion, Biosyn have made their own dinosaurs. They've basically like bought out Jurassic Park or something.
Oh, okay.
I mean, that's not exactly what happens, but whatever.
Okay.
Jurassic World Dominion's fine, but it's just crap. And it's like, it's just daft. It's like they must have literally, for Jurassic World Dominion, it was like, what can we do? Go into the book. Oh, Biosyn, Dodson, yeah, create that, whatever. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Scraping the barrel.
Yeah. Jurassic World Dominion's crap.
I haven't watched the full trilogy in ages, so I don't remember what the second, like, Lost World is like, the third one is like.
Honestly, this is the best one. It's
it seems like a one-hit wonder sort of film.
Yeah. I mean, but it's just one of those. It's not the book did have a sequel, but it's like, it's nuts to think that a 2-book series, 2 books, has been made into 6 films. You know, it's ridiculous. And I'm like, yeah, you know, you can say you could always make a decent film. You know, you could base something off Jurassic Park and all that stuff, but it's just like, it's like Jurassic World Dominion's not even really about dinosaurs. It's about like giant locusts, and it's just like, what's going on? Yeah, like the spoilers for Jurassic World Dominion, but it's like the main thing is like Biosyn have made these crops which are like genetically engineered, and they make these like locusts, but the locusts only attack crops which aren't theirs or something.
Right, okay.
Remember. Basically, like Biosyn or Lewis Dodson wants to basically sort of end the world, and everyone will just be eating his crop. When I say it like that, it sounds like a fucking James Bond film, don't it?
It sounds like something you'd see on like Saturday morning cartoon or something.
The Jurassic Park cartoon. Evil Lewis Dodson's going to send up a dinosaur satellite or something.
That is absolutely like atrocious. By the way, I remember as well in the film, Ian Malcolm survives.
Yeah.
In the book, he dies. So
yeah, he's
what's going on? So in the book Lost World, obviously, like he's not come back to life, has he? What?
Yeah, what? He has. Well,
what?
basically, he does come back. But see, there's a thing with the Lost World where, like, I think the Lost World, the book, would make way more sense to bring back Alan Grant and Ellie Sattler. Like, it would have made more sense. But I think the reason why they added Ian Malcolm as the main character in the Lost World is because Jeff Goldblum was like kind of a big star, if you know what I mean. But the thing is, the reason what because the Lost World, which is kind of funny, is actually based it's actually based on the Arthur Conan Doyle story, The Lost World. It's kind of based like that. Like, you know, like you've got this explorer who goes to an island, it turns out there's dinosaurs. So it's kind of like,
but you've got technology thrown in.
Yeah, and it is a sequel to Jurassic Park. But like what Micheal Crichton said, and I've read this somewhere, it might be complete bollocks, but it's like Micheal Crichton said he wanted to do something similar with Sherlock, like what they did with Sherlock Holmes, where at the end of one of the fucking Sherlock stories, I can't remember which one, Sherlock dies.
Oh, okay.
And then they brought Sherlock back, but they never really explained how he survived. He's just back. And that's kind of what he was trying to do with Ian Malcolm. But yeah.
Okay. I don't know if I like that.
It's fine, man. Honestly, read the book. It's like there's one line at the beginning of the book where he's like, reports of my death were gravely exaggerated or whatever.
Alright. I will have to read the book.
Yeah.
I'll have to watch the films. I'm not watching the new ones. I can't be arsed.
Jurassic, honestly, like all the Jurassic Park films and Jurassic World, I think they're fine. Yeah. But like, I've watched Jurassic. Like you say, you haven't watched it since you was about 8 years old. It's like I've watched this probably like once a year since I was like a kid, man. So it's just like I'm very familiar with it. But
it's like I think Jurassic Park is like one of those sort of traditional ones where you watch Star Wars and Indiana Jones all the time, every now and then, you know, so it fits that criteria.
Yeah. That'll do it for Jurassic Park, won't it?
Very much so.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Steven Spielberg, for giving us such a wonderful film. And
you make him sound like a dinner lady.
Steven Spielberg is the Mexican non-union equivalent, isn't it? You know The Simpsons, man.
I don't remember that one. I've watched Simpsons, but
it's the one with the film festival. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Anyway,
but Jurassic Park, man, from 1993, and now it is 2023. What a time it's been. Thank you very much for watching this video. Thank you very much for watching Jurassic Park. I don't know. Sound then. We will see you in another video. Hey!